I stood outside the grand glass doors of the wedding hall, my heart pounding with a ferocity that echoed in my ears, each beat a thunderous reminder of the chaos that lay within. Inside, the air crackled with laughter and music, a wild celebration spiraling into chaos. But the door was firmly shut against me, not because I was late, but because the world had conspired against me in ways I could never have imagined. Not due to a lack of invitation, but rather because my ex-husband, his new wife, and their elite circle declared that my presence would shatter their carefully crafted facade. I clutched my purse with a fierce intensity, the leather protesting under the pressure as I shifted the envelope concealed within its depths. It was more than mere paper. It was a force that could shake the very foundations of existence. And in mere moments, the very fabric of that room, every smile, every toast, every promise was poised to shatter into a million irretrievable pieces. My heels echoed ominously against the marble as I thrust the doors open, the suffocating silence that ensued nearly strangling the very atmosphere. Gasps echoed, crystal flutes suspended in disbelief. At the front, my son, Caleb, stood hand in hand with his bride, their faces etched with disbelief, as if the world around them had shattered into a million pieces. "Mother?" He leaned in, his voice barely a breath, a secret hanging in the air like a storm waiting to break. But the moment our eyes met, a storm brewed within him, a tempest of emotions that screamed he was anything but pleased to see me. He stood there, a tempest of confusion swirling within him, nerves fraying like the edges of a tattered flag in a storm. I lifted the envelope to the heavens, a silent proclamation of fate hanging in the air. Behold, I possess the true will, the very essence of fate itself. Gasps erupted, a tidal wave of disbelief crashing through the crowd. His father's face drained of colour, while his stepmother's once vibrant smile shattered like glass. And then, the tension erupted as security stormed in. A voice erupted from the shadows, sharp and commanding, echoing through the air like a thunderclap. Yet, I stood my ground, unyielding. For it was far too late now, the sands of time slipping through fingers, leaving only echoes of what could have been. All that they had constructed upon a foundation of deceit teetered on the brink of annihilation. Half a year ago, the shadows of the past loomed large. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I would find myself on the fringes of my only son's wedding, cast aside like a mere stranger. But perhaps I should have foreseen the storm brewing on the horizon. Behold, I am Evelyn Thomas, a name that echoes with the weight of untold stories and uncharted destinies. At the age of 54, life unfolds with a dramatic flair, each moment a twist in the tale of existence. Alone, I fought the tempest of motherhood, raising Caleb in the shadow of his father's betrayal. Martin, the man who vowed to stand by us, vanished into the arms of a woman named Denise, leaving us to navigate the storm without him. 13 years her junior, radiating an allure that could only be rivaled by the gloss of a magazine cover. Caleb, a mere child of 10, and I bound together in a world that felt impossibly small, just the two of us against the chaos that loomed beyond, struggling to survive indeed, but united in our plight. In a relentless pursuit of a brighter future, I toiled through double shifts, seized every side job that came my way, and scrubbed office buildings on weekends, all for the sake of his school fees. In the dim light of our cramped room, I sat there, needle in hand, desperately mending the frayed edges of his backpack. Each stitch was a silent scream, a tear that fell unnoticed, for I dared not let him witness my sorrow. We were trapped in a world where new things were a distant dream, and my heart ached with the weight of our reality. As Caleb stepped into the tumultuous world of adulthood at 18, embarking on his college journey, I found myself at a crossroads of desperation. In a heart-wrenching decision, I relinquished my mother's cherished necklace, the last vestige of our family legacy, sacrificing it for the sake of his tuition. The weight of that choice hung heavy in the air, a haunting reminder of love and loss intertwined. It pierced through the silence, a searing agony that clawed at the very core of existence. But I stood my ground, unwavering, for he was my flesh and blood, my very own son, the heartbeat of my existence. And I placed my faith in him, a faith that eclipsed all else, a belief so profound it shook the very foundations of my existence. And then, Like a tempest breaking through the calm, Denise arrived. She stormed back into our lives when Caleb turned 21, a whirlwind of chaos and unresolved emotions. In a twist of fate, Martin found himself with time once more, as if the universe had conspired to grant him a second chance. Luxurious gifts burst onto the scene, their opulence demanding attention and igniting whispers of intrigue. Ah, the tantalizing allure of vacations. A siren's call that beckons us away from the mundane, promising adventure and escape. The thrill of new horizons, the taste of freedom, and the whisper of distant lands await. Will you answer the call, or remain shackled to the ordinary? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. Unfolding possibilities await. Unfathomable forces I stood no chance against. And, with agonizing slowness, my son began to slip away into the abyss. Phone calls morphed into cold, detached texts, a chilling transformation that left echoes of silence in their wake. Then, as if the very air had thickened with tension, the texts ceased entirely. With every passing birthday, I fought to mask the pain, yet each solitary celebration pierced my heart like a dagger. And those Mother's Days, reduced to mere forwarded messages, left an ache that echoed through my very soul. Yet, I remained shrouded in silence. I whispered to my heart, let him find his joy, even if it shatters my own. Until that fateful call shattered the silence. Caleb is about to take the plunge into the abyss of matrimony. It came from someone else entirely, not Caleb. It came from my neighbour, a revelation that struck like lightning as they stumbled upon it on Facebook. The post bore a caption that seared itself into the very fabric of my mind. In a whirlwind of emotions, I stand here, overwhelmed with gratitude for my incredible parents, Martin and Denise. Their unwavering support and tireless efforts have woven the very fabric of this wedding into existence. What a journey it has been. How could they overlook me? I was invisible, a mere shadow in the chaos, not even a whisper of my name in the cacophony of voices. When I called Caleb to congratulate him, his voice trembled with urgency, as if the very air around him crackled with tension. Mother! Oh, how the weight of the world hangs heavy upon us. Indeed. Everything has unfolded in a whirlwind of chaos. Dad and Denise are orchestrating a grand spectacle, leaving no stone unturned, no secret unexposed. Text I see, I uttered, my voice trembling as I fought to maintain an air of composure. Am I to be summoned to this gathering of fate? Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating, as time itself seemed to hold its breath. Without a doubt. Oh, the suspense is palpable. Denise, the mastermind, is still in the throes of finalizing the list. What secrets lie within? What twists await us? The tension is unbearable. But yes, I shall confront her. In that electrifying moment, the realization struck me like a thunderclap. I was being cast aside, forced into the shadows. On that fateful day, as I tore open the envelope containing the wedding invite, a chilling letter slipped out, sending shivers down my spine. In light of the solemn theme and the constraints of our sacred space, we implore certain guests to remain seated, their voices silenced, as the ceremony unfolds in reverent silence. Thank you for your profound understanding in this tumultuous moment. It was not meant for the eyes of the guests. It was meant for my eyes alone. They conspired to silence me, to rob me of the chance to raise my glass at my own son's wedding. That fateful night, tears streamed down my face with such ferocity that I ripped the letter asunder. But then, as dawn broke, an unsettling twist unfolded, shattering the calm of the morning. In a twist of fate, the phone rang, shattering the silence with the voice of the lawyer, the bearer of news from the shadowy depths of Martin's late father's estate, Caleb's grandfather, the enigmatic Richard Thomas. A man, a figure cloaked in disdain for Denise, yet paradoxically, he showered me with kindness, even after the shattering of our vows. Mrs. Thomas, the lawyer's voice pierced through the air, laden with urgency. I must see you face to face immediately. His office stood in chilling silence, a sterile realm where every book was a soldier, aligned with ruthless precision, waiting for the next command. With trembling hands he poured the tea, each drop a testament to the turmoil within him. Before, I was shrouded in silence, unable to reveal the truth that weighed heavily on my heart. Martin demanded an eerie hush, the tension thickening in the air like a storm about to break. But your father-in-law, in a twist of fate, altered his will mere moments before he departed this world. I blinked, my heart racing as the world around me shifted in an instant. Altered it in what way? With a trembling hand, he yanked open the drawer, revealing the secrets within. The document emerged, gliding forward like a whisper of fate, poised to change everything. It was a fateful document, inscribed just 2 weeks prior to the tragic demise of Richard. In a twist of fate, he bequeathed the entire family estate, every brick of the house, the stocks that danced with fortune, the antique collection steeped in history, and a staggering $3.4 million bestowed upon me and Caleb, our destinies intertwined in an equal share of this unexpected legacy. Not a single penny shall grace Martin's hands, nor a whisper escape to Denise. My voice caught in my throat, a silence so profound it echoed in the depths of my soul. "But," I exclaimed, my voice trembling with disbelief, "Martin declared to the world that he had inherited it all." The lawyer let out a chilling, mirthless laugh, echoing through the tense silence like a harbinger of doom. It was a catastrophic act, a calculated move that shattered the very essence of the official copy into oblivion. I fixed my gaze upon him, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Then, in a moment that would change everything, the air thickened with tension, and the world seemed to hold its breath. What would unfold next was beyond anyone's wildest imagination. "How on earth did you come to possess this?" He struck the table with a forceful tap, the sound echoing like a thunderclap in the tense silence that followed. In a moment of sheer brilliance, I crafted a backup. Against all odds, I found myself drawn to the forbidden, an undeniable instinct gnawing at my very core. My hands quaked with an electric tension as they brushed against the paper, a harbinger of secrets waiting to be unveiled. The ink crackled with a fierce energy beneath my fingertips, a pulse of raw intensity that sent shivers down my spine. He pierced my soul with his gaze. "You could unleash a storm of chaos and confrontation in the courtroom, or—" He leaned in, the tension thickening in the air, as if the very world around them held its breath. In the most critical moment, the truth could be unveiled, shattering the silence and igniting a tempest of emotions. And so I waited, my heart pounding in the silence, each second stretching into eternity, the weight of anticipation hanging heavy in the air. As the fateful wedding day loomed ever closer, I found myself receiving updates through whispers and shadows, each one more tantalizing than the last. My own son vanished into silence, never to call again. They placed me in the shadows, a mere spectator at the back of the grand ceremony, where whispers of fate danced in the air. Silence reigns supreme. None shall take the stage. In that electrifying moment, I knew I had to choose. The weight of the world hung in the balance, and my heart raced as the clock ticked ominously. This was it, the turning point that would change everything. Let them pretend I'm a ghost, a mere whisper in the shadows. Fine. Let it be so, but they would never forget me, not after the earth-shattering act I was about to unleash upon them. Return to the fateful day of the wedding. The guards faltered, their eyes widening in disbelief as I lifted the envelope, a silent storm brewing in the air. With each step, I ascended the aisle, the weight of the moment pressing down upon me, time stretching into an agonizing eternity. Every gaze pierced through the air, heavy with anticipation, as I stood at the center of it all. Denise leaned in, her voice a frantic whisper, urgency dripping from every word as she spoke to Martin. Caleb's face drained of color, a ghostly pallor washing over him. "I never intended for this moment to unfold in such a place," I declared, my voice trembling yet resolute. "But you have forced my hand, leaving me with no alternative." With trembling hands, I tore open the envelope, revealing the will within a document that held the power to shatter lives and unveil secrets long buried. "Caleb, brace yourself. Richard Thomas, your grandfather, has left you a legacy that will change everything. Half of everything he possessed, torn asunder in a moment of betrayal, and he abandoned the other half to me, a haunting reminder of what once was. The silence hung heavy in the air, a palpable weight that threatened to crush all hope. I faced the throng, their eyes burning with anticipation. This man. He stands at the precipice of fate, a storm brewing in his heart, shadows lurking in the corners of his mind. Every breath he takes is a battle, every heartbeat a reminder of the chaos that surrounds him. What secrets lie beneath his stoic facade? What darkness threatens to consume him? The air crackles with tension, and the world holds its breath, waiting for the inevitable unraveling of his story. I pointed to Martin, his brow glistening with beads of sweat, a clear sign of his mounting dread. In a moment of fiery desperation, the original document was consumed by flames, leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. He made a desperate attempt to obliterate my very existence, but Richard pierced the veil of deception that cloaked him. With a thunderous crash, I let the will fall onto the nearest table, the air thick with tension and unspoken secrets. Consider it a declaration of war. A woman in the front row inhaled sharply, her breath caught in her throat. A blinding flash erupted from the camera, illuminating the darkness with a sudden burst of light. Then, another. The tension crackles in the air, a palpable force that demands attention. What will unfold next? The heart races, the mind whirls anticipation, hangs like a heavy curtain, ready to be drawn back at any moment. The crowd was alive, with an electric hum, a palpable tension hanging in the air like a storm waiting to break. Yet, I stood there, breathless, as the countdown ticked away, refusing to wait for the cataclysmic eruption that loomed on the horizon. With a decisive turn, my heels echoed ominously against the cold marble, each step a declaration of my resolve as I strode out through the grand entrance, leaving behind the chaos that had unfolded. And lurking in the shadows, just beyond my grasp, utter chaos reigned supreme. Behind me loomed the wedding hall, a fortress of dreams and despair. Yet the echoes of the murmurs, the sharp intakes of breath, the hushed whispers, they reverberated in my ears, a tempest unleashed, wild and unrelenting. With each deliberate step, I descended the cold, unforgiving stone staircase, the weight of the world pressing down upon me. The evening breeze swept in, a chilling caress against the clammy sweat that clung to my palms, a stark reminder of the tension that hung in the air. With each step, the burden grew, a crushing weight of unspoken years, a symphony of silence, pain and rejection, finally poised to be released. As I approached my car, a sense of foreboding enveloped me. It sat there, isolated at the farthest edge of the parking lot, a stark contrast to the bustling crowd of guests, as if I had chosen to distance myself from their revelry on purpose. They promised me comfort in that place, a sanctuary of solace, but the truth loomed like a dark cloud, heavy and suffocating. I sat inside, heart racing, fingers clenched around the steering wheel, each breath a desperate gasp for calm. In that heart-stopping moment, I stood on the precipice of chaos, torn between the haunting thought that I had either shattered my son's wedding dreams or, perhaps, delivered him from a fate worse than despair. Just as I ignited the engine, a sudden buzz from my phone shattered the silence. One message that could change everything. From Caleb, a name that echoes with the weight of untold stories and hidden truths. "What have you just done?" "No, Mother. No. Are you truly okay?" Only those 5 chilling words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken tension. Silence hung heavy in the air, as I chose not to respond. Not yet. The suspense hangs thick in the air, a palpable tension that crackles like electricity, waiting for the moment to explode. My hands quaked with an intensity that was almost unbearable. I killed the engine, my heart pounding as I reclined in the seat, eyes locked on the ominous expanse of the dark sky beyond the windshield. Victory eluded me, a phantom slipping through my fingers. I felt an emptiness gnawing at my core, as if I had violently ripped apart the very fabric of something I had painstakingly constructed over decades. I shut my eyes, and like a tidal wave the memories surged forth, crashing over me with a ferocity that left me breathless. In that haunting moment, I recalled cradling Caleb as an infant, his fragile form nestled against me, his minuscule fingers entwined with mine, a delicate bond forged in the stillness of slumber. In the dimly lit auditorium, echoes of applause reverberated through my mind, a haunting reminder of the school plays where I, with fervour unmatched, clapped the loudest, my heart racing with every thunderous sound. The bloodied knees, the haunting fevers of the night, the birthdays when I clawed together every last coin, desperate to gift him something, anything, no matter how small, every moment seared into the very fabric of my being. And now, I stood as the woman they desperately sought to conceal, shrouded in shadows and whispers. The shame, a dark spectre, was cruelly banished to the back row, hidden from the light of day. My phone buzzed once more, a jarring interruption that sent a shiver down my spine. Caleb. The name echoes like a haunting whisper in the shadows, a portent of fate yet to unfold. You humiliated me beyond belief. My eyes were glued to the screen, heart racing, as I wrestled with the weight of the words. After what felt like an eternity, I finally summoned the courage to respond. I shielded you from the storm, standing resolute against the chaos that threatened to engulf us both. With a swift motion, I cast the phone aside, my heart racing as I sped away into the unknown. Not home, but to a place steeped in silence, where the echoes of the past linger like shadows in the twilight. A small park, teetering on the brink of town, where Caleb once frolicked in the innocence of youth. I perched on a bench, my heart racing as I gazed at the swings, the wind howling through the trees, whispering secrets of the storm brewing within the shadows. In the suffocating silence, I surrendered to the weight of my sorrow, allowing my tears to cascade like a torrential storm. In the stillness, completely. My tears were not shed for the weight of my actions, but for the haunting echoes of choices made. My tears flowed, a torrent of anguish, for it was a necessity that tore at my very soul. On the morrow, a tempest of transformation swept through, altering the very fabric of existence. I awoke to a storm of messages, each one a harbinger of chaos and intrigue. Messages from long-lost friends, echoes of the past crashing into the present, stirring emotions I thought were buried deep within the shadows of time. Strangers, mere shadows in my life, reaching out from the depths of the unknown. In a twist of fate, it seems that my grand entrance at the wedding was captured on film, a moment frozen in time, destined to echo through the halls of memory. The video had already begun its relentless journey through the vast expanse of the internet. They whispered my name in hushed tones, branding me the mother with the iron will, a force to be reckoned with in a world that dared to challenge me. Amidst the chaos, a few voices rose above the din, showering me with praise. Some dared to label me as dramatic, but none of that held any weight in my heart. Caleb was the only thing that mattered to me, the center of my universe, the heartbeat of my existence. Would he ever grasp the depths of my actions? Or would he plunge further into the abyss of Martin's shadow? As the clock struck noon, the piercing ring of my phone shattered the silence, echoing like a harbinger of chaos. Evelyn! It was the lawyer, the harbinger of fate, stepping into the room with an air of undeniable authority, the weight of secrets heavy in the air. His voice crackled with tension, each word a fragile thread on the brink of snapping. They've answered the call, and the air crackles with tension. Their presence loomed like a dark cloud, and I felt it in my bones I didn't have to ask who they were. Martin and Denise, entwined in a web of secrets and unspoken desires, their fates hanging by a thread, poised on the brink of revelation. Indeed, he declared, they dare to challenge the very will that binds us. A storm brews on the horizon, and the air crackles with tension as they plot their audacious move. Confess, admit it was all a charade. My stomach twisted in a tumultuous dance of dread. But it's undeniably real. Behold, the original signature lies before you, a testament to authenticity and a whisper of history's secrets. I do, he replied, his voice trembling with an intensity that hung in the air like a storm about to break. But they are poised to plunge this into the depths of the courtroom drama. They have summoned a legal team so fierce it sends shivers down the spine of the unprepared. Indeed they had. What am I to do? In a hushed breath, I dared to whisper. He stood frozen, a storm of doubt raging within him. "Do you dare to challenge me? This is bound to be a catastrophe." The shattered remnants of the tile lay ominously near the sink, a silent testament to chaos lurking just beneath the surface. The ancient coffee pot, a relic of forgotten mornings, stands in silent defiance, its once vibrant sheen now dulled by the passage of time. Shadows dance around it, whispering secrets of the past, as it clings to the memories of warmth and comfort, waiting for the day it will brew again. The bills loomed ominously, a towering fortress of financial despair, stacked with chilling precision on the counter. "I've been silent long enough," I declared, my voice trembling with the weight of unspoken truths. "Prepare for battle." In a whirlwind of events, the court process erupted into motion within a mere week. Out of nowhere, a deluge of emails flooded my inbox, relentless phone calls pierced the silence, and letters arrived like ominous harbingers of chaos. With venomous accusations, Martin's lawyers hurled their claims at me, branding me a manipulator of the old man's fragile final days. Accused me of coercion, a dark shadow cast upon my name. That I had audaciously forged the signature. In a stunning twist, Denise took to a social blog, unleashing a bombshell interview where she accused me of harboring jealousy towards Caleb's new family. Consumed by envy. Of what, you ask? The very essence of mystery hangs in the air, thick with anticipation and unspoken truths. What lies beneath the surface? Waiting to be unveiled. The question lingers, electrifying the atmosphere with its weight. What, indeed? Of witnessing the son I nurtured being ripped away from me, fragment by agonizing fragment? Caleb, the phantom of my thoughts, never once graced me with a call, not in the midst of the trial preparations, not when the first hearing was unveiled, not even when the relentless media descended upon the unfolding saga. Whispers of their escape to Italy for a honeymoon swirl like a tempest, igniting the air with intrigue and envy. A gift from Martin, it seems, shrouded in mystery and intrigue, paid from an account that, in the eyes of the law, may not even be his own. The moment our eyes locked once more was at the courthouse, a place where fate intertwines with the echoes of past choices. He sat there, a striking figure in his sharp navy suit, right beside his father, the air thick with unspoken tension. His bride clutched his hand, a trembling connection amidst the storm of emotions swirling around them. They appeared impeccably refined, a facade of perfection that concealed the chaos beneath, absolutely flawless, as if plucked straight from the glossy pages of a magazine. In stark contrast, I found myself engulfed in chaos, a swirling tempest of turmoil and despair. My dress, a relic of someone else's past, clung to me like a haunting memory, while my heels, cruel and unforgiving, squeezed my feet in a vice of discomfort. Yet, I raised my chin defiantly. As our eyes locked in that tense courtroom, a spark ignited in his gaze, a fleeting moment that held the weight of unspoken secrets. Could it be guilt that gnawed at the very core of their being? Or was it merely the shock of my unexpected arrival that left you breathless? The hearing unfolded with a palpable tension, each moment thick with anticipation and unspoken truths, as the stakes soared to dizzying heights. Martin's lawyers unleashed a relentless barrage upon us, their tactics sharp and unforgiving. Whispers of betrayal fill the air, accusations fly like daggers, fake timelines unravel like a twisted tapestry, and a forged copy of an older will lurks in the shadows, waiting to strike. But our side possessed a secret weapon they could never fathom. The undeniable truth, lurking in the shadows, waiting to be unveiled. The lawyer I collaborated with possessed an intellect as keen as a razor's edge, coupled with an unwavering patience that could weather the fiercest storms. He summoned the handwriting experts, their eyes glinting with the promise of revelation. A nurse, her heart racing, recalled the fateful day when Richard, with trembling hands, inscribed his name on the real will, sealing his destiny in ink. Even the ancient text messages exchanged between Richard and me, where he ominously hinted at leaving something behind for Caleb and me, linger like ghosts of unspoken intentions. Piece by piece, we tore down the facade of deceit, revealing the raw truth hidden beneath the surface. But the path was fraught with turmoil. In the tense silence of the courtroom, As the gavel fell and the air crackled with anticipation, Denise strode past me during a brief recess, her presence a whirlwind of unspoken tension and unresolved drama. Her eyes pierced like ice, devoid of warmth, a chilling void that sent shivers down the spine. Her smile, a mere whisper of joy, barely clung to her lips. "You'll lose," she hissed, her voice dripping with a chilling certainty. "Even if victory is yours." I remained silent, a heavy weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. She was unworthy of a response, a mere shadow in the grand theatre of life. Yet, her words lingered in the shadows of my mind, echoing like a haunting melody that refused to fade. For beneath the surface, a truth simmered, and I understood her words in a way that sent shivers down my spine. Even if the court were to decree in my favour, the shadows of doubt would still loom large. Caleb could slip through my fingers, lost to the abyss of time and fate. Yet, I forged ahead, undeterred by the chaos that surrounded me. Weeks dragged on, each one heavier than the last. Then, months passed in a haunting silence. And with a heart-pounding twist, the case began to shift dramatically in our favour. The judge, with a piercing gaze, unleashed a barrage of questions that cut through the tension like a knife, each one more probing than the last. As the spotlight dimmed, the fervour of the media interest evaporated into thin air, leaving only echoes of what once was. Denise's confidence shattered into a million pieces. Even Martin, once a beacon of energy, now bore the weight of exhaustion upon his weary shoulders. As if the crushing burden of years steeped in hubris had finally come to bear upon him. One fateful night, as I lingered by my window, lost in the haunting words of Richard's final letter, a sudden knock shattered the silence, echoing through the stillness like a harbinger of fate. With a trembling hand, I grasped the cold doorknob and flung the door wide open, revealing the chaos that lay beyond. Caleb stood there, a figure frozen in time, the weight of the world pressing down upon his shoulders, as the air crackled with unspoken tension. Isolated in the suffocating silence, a profound sense of solitude envelops the air. His eyes burned with a crimson fury. His voice, a jagged edge of emotion, cut through the silence like a knife. "May I enter this sacred space?" I withdrew into the shadows, a ghost among the living. He perched at the kitchen table, a haunting echo of his childhood, legs swinging with a restless energy beneath the chair, as if the weight of the past clung to him like a shadow. He uttered those words in a hushed tone, a weighty silence hanging in the air, as if the very act of watching had unearthed a hidden truth, a revelation that could shatter the calm facade of their existence. The courtroom drama unfolds. The interviews, a whirlwind of tension and anticipation, where every question hangs in the air like a loaded gun, ready to ignite the truth or shatter illusions. Each candidate steps into the spotlight, their hearts racing, as they face the relentless scrutiny of the panel. Will they rise to the occasion or crumble under the pressure? The stakes have never been higher, and the outcome is anything but certain. All that exists. I poured him tea, the steam rising like whispers of secrets yet to be revealed. He stood there, eyes wide, heart racing as the object lay untouched before him, a silent challenge in the air. Little did I know, the old man's final twist would shatter everything I thought I knew. He had altered the will. "He attempted to reveal the truth to you," I whispered, my voice trembling with the weight of unspoken secrets. "Yet, your ears were deaf to my words." He cast his gaze downward, a tempest of emotions swirling within him. I found myself ensnared in a whirlwind of emotions. Everything, every last piece of it. The wedding. Oh, Dad. And Denise, what a tangled web we weave. It was as if the weight of the world had lifted, a fleeting moment where everything aligned and the chaos of life faded into the background. It just felt easier. I nodded, each movement heavy with unspoken weight. "Is it simpler to act as if I've vanished from the pages of your tale?" His face twisted in anguish, a storm of emotions battling within him. "Forgive me, for I am burdened with remorse." It was hardly anything at all. Yet, it was more than sufficient. For now, The silence hangs heavy, a breath held in anticipation, as the world teeters on the brink of revelation. Caleb, you must understand I did not embark on this path for the allure of riches, I whispered, my voice barely escaping the confines of my trembling lips. I took this bold step because the truth demands to be heard. For you are of utmost significance. And it was all because your grandfather, in his unwavering devotion, sought to shield you from the storm that raged beyond the horizon. He wiped his face, the tension thick in the air, as if the very world held its breath, waiting for the storm to break. Oh, the weight of that knowledge hangs heavy in the air, a truth so profound it sends shivers down the spine. I know. The air was thick with unspoken words as we lingered in a haunting silence, time stretching endlessly around us. As he rose to depart, a heavy silence enveloped the room, and he lingered at the threshold, caught in a moment that felt like an eternity. Do you dare to ponder? Could it be possible for us to engage in deeper conversation? Begin anew? A smile crept across my face, a flicker of light in the shadows of uncertainty. I would absolutely relish that. He vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a silence that screamed of betrayal. And for the first time in years, a flicker of warmth ignited within my chest, a sensation so foreign yet so intoxicating, it threatened to unravel the very fabric of my existence. Not victory, but a haunting echo of defeat lingers in the air. A bitter reminder of what could have been. Not revenge, but a reckoning awaits. But hope. A flicker in the abyss, a whisper against the storm, a defiant spark that refuses to be extinguished. The case hung in the air, a tempest waiting to unleash its fury. The court, shrouded in tension, stood on the precipice of a monumental decision, the air thick with anticipation as the gavel loomed, ready to strike and shatter the silence of uncertainty. Martin and Denise stood poised, ready to unleash their last, desperate blow. But as I gazed upon the will, elegantly framed upon my wall, a chilling realization gripped my heart. No matter the chaos that loomed ahead, I had already triumphed in the most crucial war of all. And this time, I would not be slipping away through the shadows of the back door. 3 days after Caleb's haunting visit, a tempest stirred within me, unraveling the very fabric of my being. The courtroom had become a mere backdrop, a stage for a far grander spectacle unfolding beyond its walls. At long last, a breath of freedom surged through me, a sensation long forgotten, as if the weight of the world had finally lifted. My chest, once a prison of suffocating pressure, now felt strangely liberated. The tears that once cascaded each morning, those silent, suffocating sobs that gripped me before I dared to rise from my bed, had finally ceased. Caleb returned, shattering the silence like a thunderclap in the still of night. Not entirely, not wholly, but there it was, a fissure in the wall, a glimpse of something lurking beneath the surface. And that was everything I craved, the very essence of my existence. The court hearings dragged on, tension thick in the air, as the opposing side teetered on the brink of desperation. In a stunning turn of events, Martin's legal team had now unleashed a bold new strategy. They weren't merely assaulting my resolve, they were launching a full-scale attack on my very being. They unearthed ancient bills, casting a spotlight on the debt that once ensnared me during Caleb's college years, and audaciously insinuated that I had sinister financial motives to coerce Richard into altering the will. Another day in court unfolded, heavy with tension and unspoken truths. I sat there, absorbing their venomous words as they painted me as a predator, a leech, a bitter ex-wife scheming in the shadows. But when it was our lawyer's moment to take the stage, he refrained from raising his voice or engaging in a heated dispute. With a steady hand, he laid the printed photo upon the stand, a moment suspended in time, as if the very air crackled with unspoken tension. There we were, Richard and I, side by side, engulfed in the electric atmosphere of Caleb's graduation. We were smiling, but beneath the surface a storm was brewing, ready to unleash chaos at any moment. With utmost sincerity, his arm encircled me, a possessive grip that sent shivers down my spine. That day is etched in my mind, a haunting echo of the past. Richard had seized the moment, pulling me aside with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "Evelyn, he whispered, his voice trembling with urgency. "If anything happens to me, promise me you'll keep Caleb grounded." The weight of his words hung in the air, a dark cloud of foreboding that threatened to engulf us both. He craves a genuine soul to shatter the facade of his existence. With a dramatic flourish, the lawyer unveiled Richard's handwritten journals, a trove of dozens of entries that laid bare his escalating frustration with Martin and Denise. Each page screamed of their callousness, treating Caleb as nothing more than a trophy, while his true needs languished in the shadows, ignored and unacknowledged. The entries revealed the haunting echoes of our conversations, lingering like ghosts in the shadows of memory. It was a day etched in my memory, the very moment he reached out to me, his voice trembling with urgency as we delved into the harrowing topic of altering the will. Silence enveloped the room, a heavy shroud of anticipation, as the judge's eyes darted over the entries, each word a potential dagger, each sentence a whisper of fate. The transformation unfolded before my very eyes, a gradual yet undeniable shift in her expression that sent shivers down my spine. This was no mere woman scheming to snatch away an inheritance. In a world fraught with turmoil, a mother stood resolute, her heart heavy with the weight of a promise that echoed through the shadows of her past. After court that day, I braced myself for the familiar solitude of the walk to my car. But there he was, Caleb, standing there, a figure of unexpected tension in the shadows. Silence hung heavy in the air as he strode alongside me, his lips sealed, a storm brewing in the depths of his eyes. We lingered in my car, the air thick with tension, windows rolled down as if to escape the weight of unspoken words. The air hung heavy, a chilling whisper that danced through the night, teasing the senses with its eerie caress. With a heart pounding like a drum, I confronted Dad, my voice trembling as I dared to ask if he held the secrets of the will in his grasp. Caleb exclaimed with a jolt, his voice slicing through the silence like a knife. I spun around to face him, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. "And what now?" he declared with a tremor in his voice, that Grandpa was lost in a fog of confusion, utterly unaware of the chaos unfolding around him. My fingers gripped the steering wheel with a ferocity that matched the storm brewing inside me. Richard was the sharpest man I knew, a brilliant mind that cut through the darkness, right up to the very end. Caleb's head dipped in a solemn acknowledgement, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. "I trust you completely." He halted, a heavy silence enveloping us, then uttered words that pierced through to my very soul, speaking directly to my eyes. "Forgive me for the pain I caused, for the shadows I cast that made you feel invisible, as if your very existence was a whisper lost in the storm." I swallowed hard, the weight of the moment crashing down upon me like a tidal wave of dread. Caleb. The spotlight was never my desire, never my need. All I craved was the assurance that I still held a place in the chaotic tapestry of your existence. He averted his gaze, eyes fluttering in a frantic dance of disbelief. In a moment of sheer folly, I found myself engulfed in the depths of my own ignorance. I allowed them to invade my mind with their cacophony. "But witnessing you stride into that wedding, Mom, now that was sheer audacity." A faint smile flickered across my lips, a mere whisper of joy in the shadow of despair. "It was all about you, the center of a storm, the eye of the chaos that surrounded us." The air was thick with unspoken words as we lingered in a heavy silence, each heartbeat echoing the tension that enveloped us. Then he asked, his voice trembling with anticipation, "Do you think the judge will rule in our favor?" In a moment heavy with uncertainty, I confessed, "I don't know. But whatever unfolds from this moment, we stand united, more formidable than ever before." He nodded, a silent agreement hanging in the air, heavy with unspoken tension. Suddenly, the silence shattered as his phone erupted into a frenzy of vibrations. He cast a fleeting glance at it, a heavy sigh escaping his lips, before he decisively switched it off, leaving the question hanging in the air, unanswered. I never inquired about the identity of the person. From the very beginning, I sensed it lurking in the shadows, a truth so profound it sent shivers down my spine. I already knew. The final hearing loomed ominously on the horizon, a storm of tension brewing in the air. It all hinged on that fateful day. We had laid bare every shred of evidence, the damning recorded call with Richard echoing in the silence, the backup signature verification unearthed from the lawyer's hidden vault, and the very pen, the original instrument of Richard's final will, still resting in the shadows of his safe, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. Martin, consumed by chaos, found himself surrounded by nothing but the deafening echoes of betrayal, the bitter taste of deceit, and the dwindling shadows of those who once stood by his side. As the fateful day dawned, I adorned myself with meticulous care, not with opulence, but with a profound sense of intention. A soft blue dress, the very one that graced my form at Caleb's graduation, a silver chain glinting in the light, modest heels that whispered elegance with every step. As I stepped into the courtroom, a chilling realization struck me. Denise's smile had vanished, replaced by an unsettling silence that hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. She appeared utterly exhausted, as if the weight of the world had pressed down upon her weary shoulders. Her eyes flickered wildly, a tempest of anxiety, desperately seeking to decipher the charged atmosphere that surrounded her. Martin appeared aged beyond his years, his jaw clenched in a silent battle, strands of hair thinning like a fading memory, his body trembling as he gripped his notes with a desperate intensity. With a heavy heart and a steely gaze, the judge ascended to her throne of justice, the air thick with anticipation. Silence fell over the courtroom like a heavy shroud. With a dramatic pause, she cleared her throat, her gaze piercing through the tension that hung thick in the air, locking onto both legal teams as if daring them to speak. In a gripping turn of events, this court has meticulously examined every shred of evidence, each haunting testimony, every damning document, the chilling digital correspondence, and the medical records of the late Richard Thomas, whose life hangs in the balance of this unfolding drama. In a stunning turn of events, the court, swayed by the unwavering consistency and undeniable credibility of the evidence presented, boldly declares the latest will of Evelyn Thomas as not just authentic, but a legally binding testament to her true intentions. Caleb's fingers brushed against mine beneath the table, a spark igniting in the charged silence that enveloped us. In a twist of fate, the inheritance shall be divided, a fateful decision echoing the final wishes of the departed, between the two heirs, Evelyn Thomas and Caleb Thomas. I released a breath, trembling uncontrollably. Martin rose to his feet, a tempest brewing within him. This is utterly scandalous. That woman, she wove her web of deceit. The judge, with a commanding presence, raised her hand, silencing the courtroom in an instant. Mr. Thomas, you have crossed the line. Take your seat, or face the consequences of your defiance. Martin's mouth gaped open once more. A silent scream caught in his throat, but Denise, with a fierce grip, yanked him by the arm, pulling him back from the precipice of revelation. He uttered yet another word, a chilling echo that hung in the air like a dark omen. The court, shrouded in tension, declared its adjournment, leaving the air thick with uncertainty and anticipation. I lingered in that moment, paralyzed by disbelief. Then, with a sudden intensity, Caleb leaned over. You've crossed the line. No, I gasped, my voice barely escaping my lips. We did it. The moment we've all been waiting for has finally arrived, and the air crackles with electric anticipation. The impossible has become reality, and the world will never be the same again. Outside, the sun blazed with an intensity that seemed almost otherworldly. Not blazing, merely simmering. In a world fraught with chaos, a beacon of solace emerges, wrapping its tender embrace around the weary souls seeking refuge. The air thickens with unspoken words, as hearts find their rhythm in the gentle lullaby of reassurance. Here, amidst the storm, comfort reigns supreme, a fragile yet unyielding force that binds us all in our darkest hours. As we strode toward the parking lot, Caleb suddenly pivoted, his gaze piercing through the air, locking onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. Will you grace my humble abode with your presence for dinner this weekend? I have something to say, and it demands your attention. Only we remain. Perhaps we should sift through the remnants of Grandpa's past, unearthing secrets long buried in the shadows of time. I smiled, my heart swelling with an overwhelming tide of emotion. Oh, how I long for that moment to unfold. Just as the air thickened with the weight of our impending separation, he summoned the courage to utter one final question, a desperate plea hanging in the balance. "Mom, do you believe Grandpa would swell with pride? Can you feel the weight of his gaze upon us, judging every choice, every moment? What if he knew the truth? Would his heart soar or shatter?" The air thickens with the unspoken, the tension crackling like a storm about to break. "Tell me, what do you think he would say?" I gazed at him, tears brimming once more, yet this time they flowed softly, tenderly. It seems he has already crossed that line, and in that heart-stopping instant, the chilling truth struck me. They had obliterated my very existence from my son's world. Despite their relentless efforts to silence me at the wedding, my voice remained trapped within, yearning to break free. They believed that by silencing me, their secrets would remain shrouded in darkness, untouched and untold. But oh, how wrong they were. The truth, a relentless force, inevitably rises to shatter the silence, demanding to be heard. At long last, my voice pierced through the silence, echoing in the depths of despair. The morning after the court ruling dawned with an unsettling air, heavy with anticipation and dread. For the first time in years, I awoke to an unsettling tranquility, a silence that echoed with the weight of unspoken truths. No court dates hanging ominously in the air above me. No merciless headlines, no dread that all I held dear would be torn asunder. Silence enveloped the room, a heavy shroud of stillness that whispered secrets untold. As I perched by the window, a cup of tea trembling in my hands, I beheld the sunrise, a breathtaking spectacle that painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson, igniting the dawn with a fierce and glorious light. The soft gold light burst forth, flooding the neighborhood, caressing the rooftops and trees as if it were a divine artist, resurrecting the world in a breathtaking rebirth. It was as if the very air crackled with tension, a palpable sensation that coursed through every nerve, leaving no doubt about the intensity of the moment. As if the final curtain had fallen on one act, while the stage was set for a new, electrifying performance to unfold. But the peace I was discovering was a tempest, a storm that revealed love's complexities in the most unexpected ways. Caleb and I stood amidst the remnants of what once was, grappling with the shattered pieces of a long-broken relic, our hands trembling with the weight of history and the urgency of restoration. In a world where trust hangs by a thread, understanding is a fleeting whisper, and love is a tempest waiting to unleash its fury, the stakes have never been higher. Will they rise above the chaos, or will the shadows consume them whole? It was never merely about the will or the inheritance. It was a tempest of emotions, a clash of desires, and a battle for power that would leave no soul unscathed. In a world stripped of its chaos and venom, a mother and son stood on the precipice of rediscovery, their hearts beating in sync as they ventured into the depths of their bond, unearthing the love that had been buried beneath the rubble of their past. We began with a whisper, a hesitant murmur in the shadows. He arrived for dinner that fateful weekend, just as he had vowed, the air thick with anticipation. In the dim light of the kitchen, I conjured up the flavors of his childhood, crafting his favorite dish with trembling hands, each stir a whisper of nostalgia, each aroma a haunting reminder of simpler times. The air thickened with memories, as if the very walls held their breath, waiting for his return. He lingered at the kitchen table, his fork twisting and turning in his fingers, a silent storm brewing within him, a desperate struggle to articulate the words that danced just out of reach, trapped in a web of uncertainty. With a heavy heart, I delved into the depths of Grandpa's journals, the weight of his unspoken words crashing down upon me as he finally confessed. "It's utterly insane." He poured his soul into every word, revealing the depths of his mind. My lips curled into a smile, a fleeting moment of joy amidst the chaos that surrounded me. He defied the very grip of illness, showing up each day as if the world depended on him, unwavering and relentless. He uttered those words with a tremor in his voice, a haunting echo of nostalgia, declaring that you, yes you, were a mirror of Grandma herself. Caleb interjected, his voice slicing through the tension like a knife. "At last, When my voice breaks the silence, all eyes turn and the air thickens with anticipation. A soft chuckle escaped my lips, a fleeting sound that danced in the air, laden with unspoken secrets. That's because I lingered in silence for far too long. Now, when I act, I ensure every moment reverberates with significance. He nodded, his gaze fixed on the ground, as if the weight of the world pressed down upon him. Then, with a tremor in his voice, he leaned closer and asked, "Do you hate me?" The words struck with a force that stole the very breath from my lungs. With a trembling heart, I extended my arm across the table, my fingers brushing against his, igniting a spark of unspoken tension between us. Not for a single heartbeat, never. Mother, father, and Denise, you have woven a tale that ensnares my heart, convincing me that your bitterness stems from an inability to let go. I wasn't clinging to the shadows of yesterday, I declared, but to you. And the bewilderment consumed me. How could you release your grip so effortlessly? He gripped my hand with a tenderness that belied the storm brewing within us. Forgive me, Mother. This time, when those words escaped his lips, they pierced my very soul, resonating with an undeniable truth. That fateful night, after he stormed out, I found myself drawn to the small storage box, the one brimming with relics of the past. Faded photos, heartfelt letters, and those precious little drawings Caleb had crafted when he was just 5 years old. With trembling hands, I unearthed a framed picture, a haunting reminder of the three of us, me, Caleb, and Martin, captured in a moment of innocence on Caleb's 3rd birthday. We appeared blissful, or perhaps we were merely acting the part. I placed the photo down, the weight of its memories crashing like thunder in the silence. The curtain fell on that chapter of my existence, leaving behind echoes of what once was. The moment had arrived, a thunderous call to forge the unthinkable, to create something entirely new amidst the chaos of the familiar. Yet, the world beyond erupted into chaos, shattering the silence with a deafening roar. The tale of the will, entwined with the courtroom drama of the wedding interruption, unleashed a tempest of shock and intrigue far beyond my wildest expectations. Local news stations clung to their screens, broadcasting segments that gripped the audience with an unyielding tension. In a whirlwind of chaos, social media threads erupted, tearing apart every fleeting second of the scandalous leaked wedding video. Some hailed me as a hero, while others branded me a mere show-off. Yet, there were those who simply could not grasp the torment of a mother, silenced for years, her voice stifled, her spirit yearning to break free. One fateful afternoon, a figure emerged, tall and enigmatic, with dark hair pulled into a tight bun, casting an air of mystery that hung heavy in the atmosphere. With a voice that cut through the silence like a knife, she declared, "I am Dana Ross, an independent journalist on a relentless quest, crafting a feature titled Invisible Women, The Mothers We Erase." She had witnessed the explosive viral video, and now, a storm of urgency compelled her to speak. "I know you've endured unimaginable trials," she declared, her voice trembling with urgency. "But your story, your harrowing tale, could be the beacon of hope that others desperately need." In the beginning, doubt gripped my heart like a vice. And patient. Oh, the agony of waiting. The tension that hangs in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Each moment stretches into eternity, a test of endurance that gnaws at the very soul. And there was an undeniable spark in her that echoed my own essence, tattered yet unyielding. And in that moment, I found myself ensnared in a web of fate, my heart pounding as I uttered those fateful words. I agreed. We lingered on my porch, the weight of time pressing down on us for more than 2 agonizing hours. I laid bare my soul to her, revealing not only the turmoil of the court case, but also the haunting silence of those lonely years. The birthdays that slipped by in solitude, the agonizing nights I found myself on the cold floor of Caleb's vacant room, desperately seeking a connection to his memory. She listened, her heart pounding as the echoes of whispered secrets filled the air, each word a dagger piercing the silence, unraveling the very fabric of her reality. 2 weeks later, the article burst forth into the world, igniting a storm of chaos and revelation. It didn't merely stay local, it erupted onto the national stage. In a seemingly innocent snapshot captured before my very own home, my face became entwined with a harrowing tale. She raised him alone. Then they tried to erase her, until she fought back. The response was nothing short of a tempest, a tidal wave of emotions crashing down in a cacophony of disbelief and astonishment. Letters, emails, mothers from every corner of the nation, pouring forth with tales of heartache. One woman, her voice trembling with pain, revealed that she was cast aside, uninvited to her own daughter's baby shower. Why? Because her stepmother deemed her unworthy of the aesthetic. Thank you for the reminder that I still exist, that I still matter. It was a breathtaking spectacle, yet it shattered the heart into a million pieces. But then, the storm of outrage erupted. Just 1 week after the explosive article hit the headlines, Martin unleashed a defamation suit that sent shockwaves through the media world. He boldly declared the article a treacherous fabrication, a venomous assault on his very professional reputation. My laughter echoed through the room as I laid eyes on the paperwork for the first time. He was far from finished. He craved dominion, an insatiable hunger for power that consumed him. The very man who spun a web of deceit around the will, the very man who severed the ties, leaving me out of our son's wedding, stands before me now. Once more, he sought to shroud my voice in darkness, to extinguish the light of my words. But this time, fear had no hold over me. In a bold move, I enlisted the expertise of a new lawyer, a master of media defense. Together, we steeled ourselves for the impending battle, ready to confront the storm once more. Caleb loomed beside me, a silent sentinel in the storm of chaos that surrounded us. "This is nothing but noise," he declared, his voice slicing through the tension like a knife. He battles fiercely, yet the war has long since concluded, leaving only echoes of a lost cause in its wake. Yet, deep within the shadows of my mind, I was acutely aware of the truth lurking beneath the surface. Individuals like Martin were utterly indifferent to the very essence of truth. They were consumed by the insatiable hunger for power. Yet, I remained unyielding, a towering figure amidst the chaos. If I must stand before the court once more, so be it. The world now knows the truth he desperately sought to conceal. No judge, no deceit, no legal battle can ever erase that revelation. One fateful night, Caleb arrived once more. But this time, he bore a mysterious bundle swathed in ominous cloth. "I want you to have this," he declared, his voice trembling with intensity. It was a letter, ominously framed, penned by Richard just a week before the fateful day that would seal his tragic destiny. It read, "Evelyn, if you are reading this, it means Martin is once again plotting your erasure." It was inevitable, a dark cloud looming on the horizon, and I felt the tremors of fate long before the storm broke. I saw it coming. Oh, how I lament the silence that enveloped me in life. If only I had found the courage to raise my voice, to shatter the stillness that surrounded my heart. Yet, in this haunting twilight, I place my faith in you. Will you rise to the occasion? Will you do what is just? The weight of my unspoken words hangs heavy in the air, urging you to act with conviction. You have always been there, lurking in the shadows, a constant presence that defies the passage of time. Do not allow them to extinguish your brilliance. Caleb belongs to you, more fiercely than to anyone else, not by the ties of blood, but by the unbreakable bond of love. No one, not Martin, not Denise, not a single soul, can alter that undeniable truth. R.T. I clutched the frame tightly, my heart a tumultuous storm, heavy and brimming with emotion. "Where on earth did you uncover this shocking revelation?" I demanded, my voice trembling with urgency. Caleb's smile flickered like a candle in the dark, concealed within the dusty pages of Grandpa's ancient dictionaries, a secret waiting to be uncovered. It was the sight of those folded pages that compelled me to pry it open, a whisper of intrigue beckoning me closer. We sat in a heavy silence, the letter between us crackling with tension like a flame ready to ignite. He must have foreseen this moment, the inevitable twist of fate that would unravel before us. Caleb's voice trembled as he leaned in, his words barely escaping his lips, shrouded in an air of suspense. I believe he did as well, I declared, and I sensed he was offering me one final chance to be heard. With a heart pounding like a drum, I hung the letter in the hallway, right next to my front door, a bold declaration for all who dared to enter. It was impossible to ignore, a silent scream waiting to be discovered. In the depths of silence, where comfort often lingers, a tempest brews. For truth, O glorious truth, wields an unparalleled power, and at long last I have seized both in my grasp. 2 months slipped away, 2 long, surreal months of healing that felt like an eternity. In a stunning turn of events, the lawsuit from Martin was dismissed with breathtaking speed. The judge, with a thunderous gavel, declared it utterly baseless, a desperate ploy to silence me, to stifle my voice in the shadows of fear. Martin, the elusive figure, vanished from the scene, leaving the courtroom in a state of disbelief as the final hearing unfolded without him. He dispatched a lawyer in his stead, a move that sent ripples of disbelief through the air. A stranger emerges from the shadows, their presence igniting a whirlwind of intrigue and uncertainty. In a twist that sent shockwaves through the courtroom, his usual attorney vanished from the scene, leaving behind a cloud of unanswered questions and a palpable tension that hung in the air. Shock coursed through me, yet I remained unfazed. The walls that had long imprisoned Martin were at last beginning to shatter, their once unyielding strength giving way to the chaos that loomed just beyond. For the first time in decades, the facade crumbled, the polished veneer shattered, revealing a man desperately clinging to control. Yet, the world around him had turned a deaf ear, and no one was listening anymore. The house Richard abandoned stood as a stunning brick colonial, just beyond the city's grasp. Old yet brimming with character, its hardwood floors whispered secrets, tall windows gazed out with longing, and the creaky staircase groaned like a ghostly laugh, echoing through the air whenever one dared to ascend too quickly. Caleb and I ventured into the depths of the old estate one fateful afternoon, keys clutched tightly in our hands. "This place is enormous," he gasped, stepping into the dimly lit study where Richard once guarded his treasured tomes. "It's yours now," I declared, the weight of the moment heavy in the air. "He wanted you to have a future that couldn't be bought." The echoes of the past lingered, a haunting reminder of dreams unfulfilled. Caleb's fingers trembled as they glided over the dusty bookshelf. "This is where our story unfolds," he declared, his voice thick with emotion. "Where Grandpa's memories linger, where we dare to rebuild." I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest. "I'm not trying to make up for everything at once," he continued, his voice trembling with urgency. "But I need you in my life again, Mum. Not just on holidays, not just on hard days." My throat tightened, the weight of his words crashing over me like a tidal wave. "I don't need a house," I whispered, desperation lacing my tone. "I just need you to mean it." He locked his gaze with mine, a silent promise hanging in the air. "I do." We didn't rush to rearrange everything. Instead, we let the house breathe, let the old dust settle as we searched for our rhythm. Sometimes, we talked for hours in the living room, our voices echoing in the stillness. Other times we said nothing at all, and somehow that was okay. Healing, oh how it defies the grandiose. It doesn't always manifest in soaring oratory. Sometimes it whispers in the quiet moments, two souls sharing a steaming cup of coffee, the mundane act of folding laundry side by side, or the tender embrace of an old movie flickering on a rainy Sunday. Such is the drama of life, where the simplest gestures hold the weight of the world. Denise vanished without a trace, leaving behind a haunting silence that echoed in the void she once filled. Whispers danced through the air, revealing that she had retreated into the shadows, seeking solace for her fragile mind. The article had struck like a thunderbolt, shattering her public persona, once vibrant with champagne brunches and shimmering designer gowns, now swallowed by an eerie stillness. And Martin? He vanished into the night, abandoning the condo Richard had left behind, the very sanctuary he believed was his. With a heavy heart, he slipped away, leaving only silence in his wake. Enough with the interviews, enough with the threats. It was a night like no other, the kind that clings to your memory like a haunting melody. Caleb and I found ourselves on the back porch, the air thick with unspoken words. Fireflies flickered in the darkness, their light a stark contrast to the shadows that loomed over us. The ancient oak tree swayed, whispering secrets to the wind. He turned to me, his gaze piercing, a soft smile playing on his lips, yet the question hung heavy in the air. Do you ever regret it? Strolling into the wedding with such audacity. Each day, I stifled a laugh, a dark secret bubbling beneath the surface. But why? What twisted fate led me to this moment of silent amusement? Because I waited too long to speak up, I allowed them to shrink me for years. I believed that silence equated to strength, that politeness would earn me respect. He nodded, listening intently. But I have learned something profound. Truth is not loud, yet when it finally breaks free, it trembles the very foundations of existence. He smiled, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. In a moment that felt like a crescendo of emotions, I stood there, heart swelling with pride for my mother. That was it. That was all I ever craved. Not accolades, not vengeance, but the simple truth that I mattered. Later that night, I found myself in Richard's study, gazing out into the abyss of moonlight. It illuminated a silver photo frame on the desk, one I had overlooked until now. There it was, a snapshot of joy, capturing me, Caleb, and Richard at his last birthday, laughter echoing through time. I lifted it, pressing it against my chest, feeling the weight of years filled with pain and rejection. Yet, here I was, stepping back into my son's life, not fueled by fury, but armed with the undeniable truth. And that, oh that, was more than enough.